If you listen closely, very closely, you might still hear it. A voice carried on the wind through New England forests, across quiet ponds of Concord, and over the trembling pages of books that changed America forever. A voice that asked a young nation to wake up, to look inward, to trust itself. A voice that told millions, do not follow where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail. This is the story of the man behind that voice. A man who walked out of grief, poverty, and spiritual confusion to become the father of American individualism. A man who reshaped literature, philosophy, religion, and culture. A man whose ideas created the foundation of the American mind. This is the long and extraordinary life of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson was born on May 25, 1803, in Boston, tiny, fragile, and destined for a world he could not yet imagine. His father, the Reverend William Emerson, was a minister known for charm and eloquence, but he died when little Waldo was only 8 years old. The loss cracked the Emerson household like thunder. Suddenly, the family was plunged into poverty. Waldo, along with his brothers, watched their mother struggle silently, stitching clothes late into the night by dim candlelight just to keep food on the table. The Emerson home was filled with books, but nearly empty of bread. Yet this hardship planted the seed of greatness. Waldo learned early that survival depended not on comfort, but on character. He grew up reading Milton, Shakespeare, the Bible, and classical stories by the faint glow of a single lamp. His grandmother, the fierce and intelligent Ruth Haskins, taught him moral discipline and stern New England independence. His aunt, Mary Moody Emerson, a brilliant, eccentric woman, wrote him letters that sparked his imagination and challenged him to think beyond the boundaries of ordinary life. She pressed philosophy into his young hands. She told him, "Always, my dear Waldo, do what you are afraid to do." The boy listened. The world would soon hear him. With barely enough money for clothing, Waldo entered the Boston Latin School, then Harvard College at just 14 years old. He walked the halls wearing patched coats and carrying books bound with worn twine. Other students came from wealthy families. Emerson arrived with little more than hunger for knowledge, and hunger for a life different from the one fate had handed him. He worked as a waiter, a tutor, even a servant to wealthier classmates, polishing boots at dawn and studying philosophy past midnight. He read Plato, Kant, Montaigne, and the great poets. He kept lines that burned into his soul. He kept journals, wild, messy notebooks filled with questions about truth, morality, and the human spirit. These journals would one day become the birthplace of American Transcendentalism. Despite his poverty, Emerson graduated near the top of his class in 1821, but his victories were quiet, private, uncelebrated. He possessed brilliance, but no clear path, and life was about to become even harder. Following family tradition, Ralph Waldo Emerson became a minister. He preached sermons filled with feeling, gentle, hopeful, deeply spiritual. But inside him, a storm gathered. He questioned the rigid doctrines of the church. He struggled with the rituals. He felt imprisoned by expectations. Then came tragedy. In 1829, he married the beautiful and delicate Ellen Tucker, only to lose her to tuberculosis less than 2 years later. Emerson would visit her tomb at night, sit beside her stone, and whisper prayers he no longer believed. The darkness nearly swallowed him. But from heartbreak rose awakening. He resigned from the ministry, shocking Boston society. He declared that he could no longer preach what he did not truly feel. Instead, he embarked on a journey, a voyage across the Atlantic to Europe in search of truth, inspiration, and a new life. The man who boarded the ship was grieving, lost, hollow. The man who returned would change America forever. In Europe, he met giants, Wordsworth, Coleridge. Most importantly, Thomas Carlyle, who became his lifelong friend. They walked through Scottish hills and talked about the nature of genius, the calling of thinkers, the importance of courage. Europe gave Emerson permission to think boldly. It told him he did not need to fit into tradition. He could create his own world. When he sailed back to the United States, he arrived not as a preacher, but as a philosopher. Settling in Concord, Massachusetts, he stepped into a life of writing, lecturing, and reflection. Here, the American landscape itself spoke to him. The forests, fields, rivers, and skies awakened a belief that nature is the doorway to understanding ourselves. In 1836, he published Nature, a small book with explosive power. It declared that individuals should trust themselves over institutions. It ignited the Transcendentalist movement. It inspired young thinkers to break free from European traditions and create an American philosophy of independence. By the late 1830s, Emerson became the leader of a small but fiercely passionate circle of thinkers, men and women who believed that true understanding came not from institutions, but from experience, intuition, and nature. They called themselves Transcendentalists because they sought to transcend the limits of society and discover truth in the self. Their meetings took place in Emerson's study, surrounded by shelves of books, soft firelight, and windows opening towards the forests of Concord. Margaret Fuller, the brilliant editor and feminist, Bronson Alcott, the radical educator, George Ripley, the philosopher, all sat around Emerson as he guided discussions on truth, intuition, spirituality, and reform. He didn't dominate the room. He didn't shout. He simply opened pathways for others to think freely. A year later, this circle launched a bold project, The Dial, a magazine edited by Margaret Fuller with Emerson's guidance. It became the official voice of American Transcendentalism, filled with essays, poems, and fiery challenges to old traditions. America was changing. The calm philosopher from Concord was leading an intellectual revolution. In 1841, Ralph Waldo Emerson opened his door to a shy, awkward, fiercely intelligent 23-year-old named Henry David Thoreau. Their friendship would transform both men and American literature. Thoreau, deeply influenced by Emerson's essays, sought his mentorship. Emerson saw in the young man a mind ablaze with originality. Soon, Thoreau became part of the Emerson household, working in the garden, helping with chores, caring for the children, and absorbing conversation like a sponge. Emerson encouraged Thoreau to trust himself, to live with purpose, to walk a path of solitude and clarity. This encouragement eventually led Thoreau to the shores of Walden Pond, where he built his legendary cabin and wrote Walden. Almost every sentence in Walden carries Emerson's fingerprints, his philosophy of simplicity, independence, and harmony with nature. Their friendship was not always easy. Thoreau was stubborn, Emerson was sometimes aloof. They disagreed, challenged each other, argued, but the bond remained deep. Together, they shaped the soul of American literature. In 1841, Emerson published one of the most influential essays in American history, Self-Reliance. It was not merely an essay, it was a manifesto. He wrote, "Trust thyself, every heart vibrates to that iron string." He warned against conformity. He spoke of the power of individuality. He declared that every person carried a spark of divine greatness if only they had the courage to follow it. This essay became the philosophical backbone of America's identity. It influenced Abraham Lincoln. It shaped Whit Willman. It inspired Martin Luther King Jr. It echoes today in every American idea of independence, ambition, and self-determination. Self-reliance made Emerson a national thinker, not just a local philosopher. His lectures attracted thousands. His calm voice, slow and steady, mesmerized audiences. Newspapers called him the Sage of Concord. In the midst of his rising fame, Emerson's personal life bloomed with warmth and heartbreak. In 1835, he married Lydian Jackson, a witty, intelligent, deeply spiritual woman. She brought stability and affection into his life. Their home filled with children, Ellen, Edith, Edward, and the beloved firstborn, Waldo. But tragedy returned. In 1842, little Waldo died of scarlet fever at just 5 years old. Emerson was shattered.
Individualism. His message of trusting oneself became a cultural anthem. From entrepreneurs to inventors to civil rights leaders, generations embraced the spirit of self-reliance. Environmental thought. His love for nature directly influenced John Muir, the father of the National Parks movement and later environmental thinkers. Without Emerson, America's relationship with nature would have been colder, more mechanical, less spiritual. Democratic ideals. Emerson believed deeply in equality, human dignity, and the moral duty of citizens. These ideas fueled abolition, suffrage, and future civil rights movements. Modern mycology and self-help. Many modern concepts, self-esteem, personal growth, positive thinking, trace back to Emerson's belief that every human carries divine potential. American literature itself. Writers like Whitman, Frost, Dickinson, Hemingway, Baldwin, and countless others absorbed Emerson's energy into their works. In this way, Emerson did not simply impact his era, he sculpted the intellectual backbone of the next 150 years. A philosopher's true legacy lives not in the words he writes, but in the lives he changes. Emerson's life became the soil for a forest of extraordinary thinkers. Henry David Thoreau, his closest intellectual companion. Walden, civil disobedience, and his environmental activism all grew from Emerson's encouragement. Thoreau became the father of nonviolent resistance. Gandhi, MLK Jr., and Nelson Mandela all drew from Thoreau, meaning Emerson's influence indirectly shaped global struggles for freedom. Walt Whitman. Whitman famously said Emerson's essay, Nature, awakened him like lightning. Leaves of Grass, America's most revolutionary book of poetry, began with one sentence Emerson wrote. The poet is the sayer, the namer, the representer of the present. When Whitman mailed the first edition to Emerson, the old philosopher responded with a passionate letter praising it as the most extraordinary piece of wit and wisdom. That letter changed literary history. Friedrich Nietzsche. The German philosopher read Emerson obsessively. He carried Emerson's books in his coat and once wrote, "He is the author who has been richest in ideas in this century." Nietzsche's radical ideas, self-overcoming, individual greatness, breaking conformity, are deeply Emersonian. Thus, Emerson quietly shaped European philosophy. Modern America. From Silicon Valley innovators to motivational speakers to environmentalists to poets to reformers to everyday individuals seeking purpose, Emerson's voice whispers in the subconscious of the nation. He became not a historical figure, but a cultural force. In the late 1870s, Emerson's memory faded rapidly. He struggled with names, forgot lectures he had given, lost his place while reading aloud. Friends noticed the great mind slowing like a lantern in thinning air, but his grace remained. His kindness deepened. He greeted visitors with a soft smile, even when he could not recall their names. On April 27, 1882, after a quiet evening surrounded by his family, Emerson slipped from the world with the dignity of a fading sunset. His body was carried to Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, to the hill now known as Author's Ridge. There, beneath towering pines and ancient stones, he rests under a simple boulder, unpolished, natural, and eternal. It is the perfect monument. Emerson remains relevant because he confronted the most timeless question of all: how does a human being live a meaningful life? His answer, spread across a lifetime of reflection, was simple yet profound. Trust yourself. Find truth in nature. Seek purpose. Reject conformity. Follow your inner voice. Honor the divine in others. Live with courage. Grow. In a world of noise, pressure, and distraction, Emerson's philosophy feels like a deep breath of cold, clear air. He is not merely a writer to study, but a mentor to return to, a quiet guide leading every generation toward clarity. In the end, Ralph Waldo Emerson's life was a journey from heartbreak to wisdom, from grief to growth, from silence to influence. A quiet boy from Boston who lost father, wife, and child became the philosopher who reshaped the soul of a nation. His home in Concord was small, his voice was gentle, his manner was soft, but his ideas were vast enough to remake America. Today, his essays are still read, his quotes are still shared, his wisdom still guides, his influence still breathes. Emerson once wrote, "To be great is to be misunderstood." Yet today, he is finally understood, deeply appreciated, and profoundly remembered. Ralph Waldo Emerson lives on not in stone, not in textbooks, but in every person who dares to walk the world with authenticity, courage, and an open soul.